Welcome to Quick Fix Golf on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We get together with all kinds of leaders of the industry, and we have a big leader this evening as a guest. We all have our students and friends and stuff, and if you'd like to join us, just go to quickfixgolf.com, look for lessons, and then when you do the drop down, you'll see golf webinars, and you'll have the link there, and you can join us. And Derek Sanders is with us tonight, who's caddying. Who are you caddying for now, Derek?
Worked for Jerry Smith.
He's the same one you introduced me to at the in Richmond last year, wasn't it?
That's correct. Jerry Smith has played the tour from 2000, got his tour card in 2006. Played a couple years on the tour, started off in Asia, then turned web.com, played some web.com. And when he turned 50, he played over in Europe 1 year, came back over, and now last 4 years he's been on the Champions Tour, PGA Tour Champions.
Well, I want to introduce you to Darren DeMail. You haven't met Darren yet. He's the one I was bragging to you about. It's doing so well in Myrtle Beach. And Derek lives in North Carolina, Darren, so he's not far from us. And he's a PGA pro in his own right. And
okay, nice. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Tell me that whenever he gets tired of toting that bag, we'd like to have him on board. So we got a bunch of guys on. What's some of the insider? Like Darren was talking about how with Nicklaus with his caddy, that sometimes he'd lose in the middle of a round.
Nicklaus would you lose it, or the caddy would lose it?
Tell him, Darren.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know about the caddy losing it, but Jack definitely lost it at times. So, did you ever get a chance to be around him, Derek?
The only time that I was caddying back in '95 and '96, I was on the putting green and I felt the ball hit me in the back of the in the hill on the putting green at Doral, and I kind of moved the ball out, didn't look. And then I felt another one kind of hit a little bit harder. And I looked again, and it said, I forget what kind of ball it was, but it said bear on it. And I turned and looked around. It was Jack had another one coming out even a little harder, telling me to get out of the way. You know, in the hole. But he was just smiling. He was playing. He was joking, and it was kind of the first time I have actually had a conversation with Jack. And then I've seen him a couple times on the Champions Tour, and I've told him that joke, that what he did to me, and he just kind of laughed. But
Right.
he does a lot of charity work for Insperity, and does a fantastic job with some of the guys. So it's always fun to see a sports icon and always looked up to. So you always kind of acknowledge him, and it's pretty cool.
Well, Darren worked for him for 7 years, so he got to know him pretty well. And so give some of these guys, is there something special that you notice tour players do to lower their score that an average guy can take from that? I mean, if you were caddying for an average guy that shoots 90, what would you tell him?
I guess from my experience,
Get a lesson.
get his wedge game and work from 100 yards in. Learn how to chip and putt, and then from work 100 yards in, everybody can hit the ball on tour. But you watch the guys from 100 yards in, and they're getting it up and down 60%, 60 or 70% of the time. It's pretty special. But then you get a guy with a 90, if he can work from 100 yards in and practice those wedges and hit them, get to where they can hit them the correct distance, and work their way around the green, and actually learn how a sand wedge or a wedge actually works. They'll knock off 7 to 8 shots within a year.
Right. Well, that's good news. I mean, Darren probably disagrees with us. I sort of agree with you, but Darren says that Nicklaus never practiced his putting to any degree. And he says, and he's right. In other words, if you want to have a better score, you got to hit more greens in regulation. You can't live with short game alone, but at least the short game can keep you from going backwards. I think of a bogey and worse as going backwards.
Right. The greens back then were putting 8, 7, 8, 9s till they actually started getting to Augusta. So I don't think Jack or any of the guys really had to work on their putting that much. The greens weren't as fast. The greens didn't have as much slope. All the greens back then sloped from back to front. That's just my experience on old courses that we go and play, and it's a lot of back to front. So the green speeds have gotten a little bit quicker. Grass is cut a lot shorter, so you have to learn how to manipulate the wedge on certain situations.
Darren, you got any questions for Darren?
No, that's some really good insight there, and that makes a lot of sense for sure. It'd be interesting to see how Jack would play some of the modern golf courses and some of the green conditions, and especially with the thickness of the lies nowadays. That's a tough thing for the average golfer to understand how to hit a golf ball off of a tight lie. It's really, really difficult. But yeah, I'd love to just pick your brain a little bit on some of the point work that you've done. I've done some clinics and some work with one of their master professionals, so I know a good amount about it. What's your experience with aim point, Eric?
Well, I think each individual is a little different on their aim point. Jerry and I have I guess a language that's just not completely aim point. We definitely do the basics. So I'll go out on the golf course and I will chart the greens, bringing my level out there, and I will have a yardage book, and I go down, and every 5 steps I'll have a number where it's 1% down and 1% to the right, meaning the ball, if I'm on the bottom part of the green, the ball will actually be uphill and break 1% to the right. And then I'll go 5 to the left, and this is starting on the right side of the green, of course. Then I'll go 5 across to the left, and then I'll go up 5 and work my way back to the right edge of the green. Then I'll go up 5 and work myself back to the left edge of the green, if that makes sense. And I get the whole green, so I know in a general area, if the pin is on 10 and 5 from the right, I know I've got that. I know I've got it. So we'll say it's 1 degree uphill and 1% uphill and 1% to the right. So the ball is going to break a little bit to the right, depending on where we are. So I'll tell Jerry this is a 1, and we pretty much know we're not doing the fingers. We're not doing the putting the fingers out in front like you see Adam Scott do a lot. When I have 1%, and I tell Jerry it's 1%, he's going to put that ball probably, depending on how fast the greens are, he's going to put that ball about a half a cup outside the left edge on a 10-footer.
Do you, as you're doing this, do you, like the Stractaline books, have like when there's a hole location, do you have like where the straight putt is? Can you tell us a little bit about that, as far as like maybe some of the leaves?
There's not very well. We don't use the Stracta books on the Champions Tour. They charge us $100 if we go online to get them. Would it save some strokes? Yes, but we don't usually use the Stracta books. But I do try to find a straight putt when I'm out there. After I get all my information, then we go back and we do pro-ams. So I'll go back to those spots, roll the ball, just to confirm where the straight putt is, and I'll put that in my book.
Gotcha.
And does Jerry listen
I
to
always
you?
thought that was.
Go ahead.
I thought that was interesting, kind of knowing where based on the whole location, where the straight putt would be. I did a lot of. I spent a lot of time around Michael Breed, and one of his thought philosophies was, you're a bad putter if you're leaving yourself difficult putts. But if you leave yourself that straight putt that's kind of uphill, they're a lot easier to make. And when I saw that that they had that in those books with the hole locations, it made a lot of sense to me. I was just curious if you guys thought along that fashion.
We haven't got that technical with it, because what we find is it might be six paces on the green and 4 from the left. So in the book, when I make my markings and everything, the pin's not exactly the same spot what you think it is. So the break can be a little bit off. It's not. I don't think it's a very 100%, but we try to keep it as idiot-proof as we can. The Straka books would definitely help. I've used those in tournaments, especially in New Orleans when I caddied for David Toms, and we found sometimes it just doesn't move. I mean, we had a 1% and it didn't move. It actually went straight. So then also David and I could have been reading the book wrong. So you never know. I mean, it's not 100%.
Right.
They need to come out with, and then they're actually getting ready to take it away from us.
Take it away, right? Yep. Yep.
Yeah. What's this new
what about
rule?
you? They're going to take away your all that work that you've done over the years, right? They're going to take away all your homework you've done, right?
Well, what I have in the book, I can keep. Now I can't go out. What they're saying that we can't use the Straka books anymore. It's got to be we can only have that one book, yardage book. So that's what I'm hearing right now. I haven't heard a definite, but all of our notes that we have in our book we can use.
Let's explain that for the guys listening so they understand.
So right now on the PGA Tour,
right,
Straka books, the caddies will go to the golf course and get the pin sheet. They will make a phone call to somebody, and I'm not going to mention any names, but they'll make a phone call to someone that will put the hole locations in for that golf course into the computer. Then it will send that email back to the caddies, and it will show all the breaks from all different sides of that hole.
Whoa.
So now you see the guys having all these big papers. Now they got the breaks of all sides of the green, of the hole. So every morning somebody goes and gets the pin sheet, relays it, emails it back to the home page. They input on their iPads, and then they get all the information. It's pretty much got it down to a science.
Wow.
And that's what they're trying to cut out.
So they want to get rid of that so that you can't do that anymore. You can just have your distance book. But you could still take your distance finder thing out there and go out there on the practice round and figure out what the distances are, right? You can write that in your book.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
They're just talking about the green reading. So now, of all the golf courses if I have to go to a new golf course, what they're trying to do is eliminate me bringing my level out there and getting the percents. Now I can roll balls. I can roll the golf balls on the green to try to get breaks, but they're trying to eliminate the levels and all the computers.
Yeah, put aim point out of business though.
The protractors at. Yeah, I think it would. Well,
and I thought it was.
You can feel it. You can go practice in your driveway and learn how to get the 1%, the 2%, the 3%, and so on. And when you get on the green, you can feel it with your feet.
I thought it was degrees. I thought you guys were reading degrees on those. That's what I thought was on there. And you're saying it's percent.
Yeah, percent.
That's what Darren said.
It is percent, yes. Correct.
Wow. All right. Well, I missed on that one. That's for sure. Anybody got some questions you want to ask Derek? Because this is your shot. He's the insider. One. Go ahead.
What kind of questions do your players ask you? Club questions or yardage questions or What do pros ask their caddies?
So we come up to the golf ball, and we can see the green, and I'll give him a number. He'll go, what do we have? So I'll give him 150 front, 25, the pin's on 25, and so it's 175 hole. Then he'll come up and say, okay, it's a back pin. So he'll say, what do we have behind it? Well, you got 5 behind it. You got 180 is over. And then as he computes it, as that translation goes through his head and in his mind, then we have an uphill or downhill. What's the elevation? Okay, we uphill +2, we uphill downhill plus -2, or are we level? So I'll say it's level, and then the wind comes up. What's the wind doing? So those are some of the questions. And then after and then we'll pick the club. So if it's no wind, 175 hole, 180 over. For Jerry, it's going to be a 6-iron. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yep.
That's I enjoyed listening to that. For Jerry or anybody else, do you actually know to hand him the 6-iron, or does he pick the 6-iron after he takes your info?
So if there's any caddies out there listening, do not ever pull a club out of the bag. Let the player pull the club.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if it was Sebi Ballesteros, he's level to hit you with it.
and then never keep your hands in the bag, because it could be coming in a lot quicker and harder than it was coming out.
Now, how do the TV, television announcers? I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How do the television announcers know what club they hit? You know, you're out there in a par 3 and you're hitting a shot. Jerry's hitting a shot. He's got a 4-iron in his hand. How do they know he hit a 4-iron?
Well, on the par 3s, they'll have a spotter. On the par 3s, they normally get it right 100%. But out in the middle of the fairway, you'll have a guy at least it's on the Champions Tour. You'll have a rover from the Golf Channel, and I'll just use John Cook as an example. John already has the yardage. He knows exactly what the yardage is. And John's played with the guys long enough that he knows if John either hits it shorter than him or farther than him. So John would probably hit 7-iron in certain situations, and he'll say Jerry's got a 6-iron at this distance, because John might have played with Jerry before, and he knows that Jerry's a half a club shorter or a half a club longer. But 9 times out of 10, John gets it right. But on all the par 3s, they have a guy on the tee asking what we're hitting, and we'll flash him a number.
Now, how's my buddy Esteban Toledo doing?
Esteban's good. He had a good week last week in Calgary. I think he top 10. I want to say he finished top 5, actually, I believe.
So he'll be here in October?
He's he will be in Richmond in October, yes.
Good. All right. I always look forward to seeing him. He's funny.
You guys all stick together, don't you?
Well, you know, the funny part was when I first met him, it was in New York. It was the first time I met Gene, see. I went up there to meet Gene, and you weren't with him then. It was this other friend of his, some kid named Dave or something that was caddying for him. And we were on the putting green, and there was Gene and a couple other guys there. And I saw Esteban Toledo, and I knew who he was, you know. And I walked up to Esteban, put my arm around him, and I looked at Gene and the rest of the guys. I said, you see this? I told you to build a fence. You wouldn't listen to me. Now look. And I thought they were going to die. I thought they were going to fall down on the green. The whole bunch of them. We had a great time. You know, and Esteban used to be a boxer. He used to be a boxer. He was a great boxer.
I'm sorry, Esteban?
Esteban used to be a boxer.
That's what the rumors say. I've never seen him box.
He was a prize fighter. He was a prize fighter. You see, he's strong as a bull. He's really strong, but he's a great guy. He's a really nice guy. Can take a joke. He's a good guy. You know, so.
Yes, he is.
Anything else you got for us? You're gonna come in town. You're gonna stay at my place.
Yeah, I'd love to. I got to find some different shows that we can start watching. I got y'all hooked on one, but and then
Not only that, what was it?
learn
Rick?
how to teach you how to make it.
Does his wife have to leave the room?
No, he
Oh no,
took-
she was right in there. No,
Derek was making the drinks. What was that drink you were making us?
I had you a dirty martini.
Dirty
with 2
martini.
olives.
That was it with the olives. Yeah, that was it. Darren, we have to try that. You got to see Darren cook. Holy Maron, this guy could be a chef.
Don't spread any rumors, please.
He could be a chef. He's a talented guy.
I wouldn't say chef after I messed up dinner tonight. That's so funny you said that.
Well, I tell you what, you beat up on my Hurricanes. Unbelievable. Absolutely made them look like fools. They deserve it. Bunch of criminals anyway. What else could help the guys? Do you see the guys out there working the ball that much? Are they hitting it fairly straight? Are they more left to right or right to left? And if they are, do they stick with that or do they swap back and forth? And what do you see?
Say that again. I got half of that on the computer. I'm sorry.
Out there, have you seen most of the guys working the ball either left to right or right to left, or do they swap over depending on the shot, or do you see them stick with one ball pattern and stick with that, or what do you see?
Well, you know, the golf ball these days doesn't move as much as it used to back in the
Tell me about it.
80s and the 90s.
Tell me about it.
Maybe early 2000s. We played last week. We played on the final round. Got paired with Jasper Parnevik, and he hit it way left on 17, and he was going to hit this driver off the deck, try to keep it low, then get it elevated over some trees, and cut it about 50 yards. And I looked at my player and I said, "Look at this! He's got a driver off the deck." And he hits this shot, and then it started off low, started to elevate, caught the trees, dropped back on 18 tee box. So
God.
then he takes his wedge off 18 tee box, puts about 60 or 70 yards, and hits it up there about 18 feet past the hole, and made it for par.
Darren, take over.
So we're walking to the next tee, and I said, Jasper, what kind of shot were you over there? He goes, "I'm driving off the deck." He goes, "I forgot that the ball don't move as much anymore."
Uh-huh.
And then I asked him, I said, "Well, what was your yardage from the tee box?" He goes, "It looked like it was about 60 or 70 yards, so I just went 65, and it was too much." And then he made the putt. So, but from day in, I guess regular shots, these guys, it depends on what the wind's doing. They can still hold the 6-iron or hold the 7-iron against the wind. If the pin's back left, they might try to draw it depending on the yardage. But you're only thinking the ball is going to, they only move the ball probably no more than 5 to 8 yards on shots. Usually left to right shots. Right to the balls, I think, seem to move a little bit more easily.
What's that guy's name? Was it Fred Allen or something that hits it real low? Big guy?
Say that again.
There's a guy out there, Fred Allen or Tim Allen or Ted Allen or something. Big guy hit the ball real low and knocks the
Michael
snot. Mike Allen.
Michael Allen. He's recovering from, I want to think, a knee injury, so he hasn't played much this year. So he had some knee surgery, so he'll be out. I'm not sure if he's going to stay out all year and come back first of next year, or he might try to play the last few events, but I'm not sure. But he's trying to recover from a knee injury.
What about Bob Tway? Remember he had that eye problem? Did he fix all that? Is he still playing? Or
Bob Tway was in Seattle last year and had a detached retina, which I'm not sure. So he had to do some recovering, and I believe his career is pretty much done now because the vision is blurry, which is awful for being a champion. And I know the fans and people would love to see Bob play because he's still has such a great golf swing, and to watch his ball flight, it's unbelievable. I got to caddy. I was lucky that I got to caddy for him for a few months, and just one of the top 5 greatest guys out there. Very quiet, but now he's going to spend a lot of time watching us play.
Well, you know what the problem is? If he would have drank like I do, he would know what it's like to play with blurry eyes all the time anyway. It wouldn't have bothered him. I'm used to playing with blurry eyes.
After you drink those martinis, it was tough for you to get up the next morning.
You got that right. All right. Any other questions?
When you got a pro, I got one. When your pro is between yardage, does he take the longer club and ease off it, or does he take the shorter club and put a little more on it?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question, because I think a lot of the amateurs and these young golfers will try to take the shorter club and hit it harder, especially if their ball's going to go on a top crest, and it's going to be spinning a lot more. But you've got to look at all the variables. One of my comments I say to a lot to my players that if this pin was 5 yards further back, what would you hit? And he would probably hit the same club and get 5 yards short. And hopefully, I mean, you don't know how that ball's going to bounce on the green. All those 18 greens are completely different on bouncing. They try to keep them pretty consistent, but you don't know if the wind's going to move at 5 yards, if they catch it a little skinny, which will cause the golf ball to come up that face a little quicker, spin more. So what I like to say, if we have 150 yards and the pin's in the back,
right,
and do you want to hit 7-iron or 8-iron? That's a tweener for us.
Okay.
And if that pin's 5 behind it, and I know there's water behind the green, I would never give him a 7-iron and try to tell him hit it easy. It'd be just a normal 8-iron, and it flies 145. If it bounces up close to the hole, great. If it stops at 145, hey, we just 2-putt or make a footer. So you got to look at the variables of what's behind the green, what's the green. Don't try to hit something easy, and all of a sudden, a lot of amateurs, when they take a smoother swing at it, it goes farther. So look at the variables, what's behind the green, what's on the green.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said there, that you think about what's behind the green. I think most average players, they don't think about what's past the green. If you look at most golf courses, all the ball marks are near the front part of the green. They're usually always short. Don't you find that to be the case there, Darren?
And most of them are probably up short. When we come in Pro-Am, the Pro-Am guys, they have their own leader. They'll ask me what the yardage is. I always lie and give them 5 yards more, because most amateurs will bring the ball to the hole.
Let me ask you a question on that. You've got a laser, and I asked this question earlier. I still didn't get an answer. If you're heading into an elevated green and you got a laser, and your laser is showing that green is at 10 degree higher level, how do you go around making a club choice?
So you're saying the hole is 120 and it plays up 10 yards because you have slope in your laser. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm using a rangefinder. My rangefinder gives it to me in degrees. I have a degree of elevation.
Okay, so let's just say it's 145 and sub 5, and it says 5 degrees, or does it say
it says 5 degrees.
I always thought it was yards. I add the 5 yards, and so now you're hitting a 150 shot instead of a 145.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was told it's 1 yard for every degree. So if you've got 10 degrees, it's 10 yards more. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Darren, you got anything?
Interesting to hear some of his answers. Really enjoyed having him on. I really appreciate it, Derek.
Well, thanks for having me. I wish I could have stayed here longer, but it's my computer I couldn't get the computer all set up, but we got it now, so I'll be glad to come back on anytime you ask.
Oh, we'd love to have you. I'll tell you what, it was great of you to do that, and I've always had, I don't know if you can see this. I still have this on the site here. This was an exciting day for me. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to change this thing that says degrees to percentage. I was screwed up on that. But it was really great of you to let me come out there with you guys, and I'd love to do that again.
Just to make sure people know that that's not me on the right.
No. You're the one that's missing a cap on the top of your head. We got your back right there. I don't know.
That was a couple of years ago. You ought to see it now.
I got this whole thing, a special thing to see. This little guy right here, he was the caddy for Bernhard Langer. This guy right here was doing what's his name? The big guy.
His name is Tony Shepard from Charlotte.
He wasn't he with what's his name? Big guy. Hits down on
I'm trying to think who he was.
Ken Perry. He was with Ken Perry then.
He was at that time, yes.
You move around. That's the thing. But like I said to everybody before you came on, I said what really impressed me is how you guys all shared information and helped each other out. There was no, combatant kind of thing. I mean, it was. Is that's the norm, or is it those the guys that you like and you guys get along, or is that normal?
No,
procedure?
it's a norm. I mean, it's tight knit, close fraternity out there with players and caddies. But when you get on the golf course in the heat of battle, I mean, you definitely want to beat each other up pretty bad and win. There's no doubt, and there's joking going on, but on the final round, there's you want to win. It's competitive, and after it's all over, we'll have a beer and joke around and have fun. But when you're out there in the heat of the battle, it's serious. And if somebody gets sick, like Tony right there, just had 2 hip replacements this beginning of the year.
Oh no!
So we all kind of pitched in and took care of him and made sure he was all right. Sent some phone calls and emails to him. But we all look out for each other.
So what was it like to win the U.S. Open when you were with Gene and you won the Open? I was so pissed at myself I couldn't get there. I was filled with lessons, and then you guys got delayed, so I actually could have maybe jumped in the car and gotten there in time. But what was it like for you?
It was a very long week. I gave Gene and I talked about it, and we had a plan. And I told Gene, I said, Gene, you just get the ball in the fairway. Your main deal is get in the fairway, and we're going to hit to the middle of every green here at Scioto. And the only times we're going to go for a pin is if we're 120 yards in and we have a perfect number with our wedges. Other than that, we're going to play to the middle of every green. And he putted well that week. And I remember Sunday we were going out, and it started raining and thunder showers, and it was wet, and they postponed it and pushed it back till Monday. And then on Monday was August 15th. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. That was my 49th day that day. And I remember coming up 18, and he hit it in the left rough, and then we hit this 3-iron right in the front edge of the green. And Miguel Jimenez hit his in the right bunker and chipped it up about 8 to 10, 12 feet past the hole. And then Gene hit it up there about 5 feet. And I I was kind of standing holding the pin off to the right. And Gene says, "Hey, Derek, what do you see here?" And the putt looked completely different from the opposite side than it did the front side. So it kind of went in my mind. You know, Brad Faxon, when I worked for Brad Faxon, the only time he would actually ask me to read a putt is when it was straight, because he was looking for something. So, and he told me, he says, "Look, when it looks opposite from right side, and it looks different from the other side, normally I play it straight." So I used that experience with Brad and Gene. I said, "Gene, I like it straight in." I said, "Look, you've made 150,000 of these putts in your whole career. Knock this one in." And that's not exactly what I said, but I've said I can't say that right now. But and he knocked it right in the back of the heart, and it was pretty special. I still have the U.S. Open flag hanging on my wall here in my house.
Good for you.
That's really cool.
You earned it, and it was fun. You know, I enjoyed being a little teensy weensy, itsy bitsy part of it. But I was really sad that I wasn't there. I kicked myself in the butt for that one. But hey, you know what you're gonna do. It was fun just being around with you guys and going out to the range with you and working with stuff, and it was great fun, and it's great fun that you're still a pal.
It was hot. It was.
You know,
you would have had to throw away your shoes. You would have had to throw away the shirt.
Wait a minute. You talk about hot. I come from 7 generations.
It was a miserable day, but it all worked out perfectly.
All right. Any other questions? Tonight we'll call it a night.
So you're used to the heat. It wasn't that bad.
You got that right.
I'm from Louisiana. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, he's an LSU fan. All right, gang. I hope you enjoyed it.
How about that game?
You made the Hurricanes look like fools.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
I was a little nervous. It was a good turnout. We'll see what happens in the future.
All right, Derek, you're a champ, man. Darren, you got anything else? If not, we'll.
No, that's great. Really appreciate it.
Let's take down the tent. And Darren
thanks. Appreciate it for having me.
So everybody knows Darren has set up Dean Snell to come on. And Derek, anytime you want to join, just join in. But we're going to have Dean Snell maybe next week or the week after. We'll email you out and let you know of Snell Golf with that no Snell golf ball. He's the guy who developed the V1, and then he developed the TaylorMade TP, and now he has Snell golf balls. Okay. So he agreed to Darren to come on. So we're looking forward to that. So we'll let you know when it's.
I'll be in Flint, Michigan. Yeah, I'll be in Flint, Michigan Wednesday night. So that'll be either early pro-am time Thursday morning or a late Wednesday pro-am. So yeah, I'd love to do it. If I'm available, I'd be glad to chime in.
Come on anytime. We're always happy to have you. All right, partner. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Night.
Thank you, Derek, Bobby.